So apologies for the long hair and this look because I've not gone out.
Well, my friend, welcome everyone. We are back again at Soaring Through the Chaos. Yes, it's challenging, and yes, it's also fulfilling. So here I have my friend Rajsingh Verma. I got to know him about 4 years ago, and initially I knew him as somebody who was like in the on television, in movies and stuff. And then I got to know the human side of him. So I want to introduce you to Raj. Raj, tell us a little bit about you, the personal side of you.
I'm just like any other person, belong to a very middle class family, chasing all the dreams which people chase. And I was doing the same thing, college, post graduation, did my MBA, got a job, but somehow deep inside was not feeling fulfilled. So kept changing couple of things here and there, tried with events and various things, uh, promotional items, ITC distribution, and finally could connect a little bit with spirituality and nature. So I thought everything, whatever I did, there's few connects, like some documentaries which I shot for around 6 to 8 months for Reliance Television, wherein we spoke about people who have a lot of contribution. Yeah, and we have forgotten, we don't remember them. So it was extremely heartwarming to know their story. And I felt this is awesome. This is awesome just to know people and what they have done. So at some point in time, I realized it's very important to, uh, have joy while doing whatever you do. Normally, earlier I realized I was just trying to chase comfort, luxury, and the long-term plans and the belief system with which everybody is made to operate with. And I also understood we are all in a trap, made to make money. We just are trained to make money for people who already have a lot of money, but it's not for our well-being. See, our training is not for our well-being. It's for basically create competition, make wealth for others. And nobody's bothered about my well-being. So this realization happened at some point in time. I made one of the with whom I had a conversation was Mohammed Yunus.
Mohammed Yunus, who started Grameen Bank, is that correct?
Yeah, who started this microfinance.
Microfinance.
We were very fortunate not to go to schools. He says, "My school gaya nahi," and that made me think in a way. Otherwise, if I was educated, I could have only thought of serving people. Like in banks, normally people go to borrow loans who don't need. People who need don't get loans. And he said, if I had gone through the education system, I would have served the banks in the same way. But I could think from, not bird's eye view, but worm's eye view. Because I could just see beggars around me, housewives not respected around me, and could see the real problem and could handle the issues because of that. So I also feel I was trapped. I was trapped and trained to do things what people wanted me to do. And at some point in time, I realized what connects well with me. And I was fortunate enough to be able to connect and try and connect with nature as much as possible, spirituality as much as possible, and try and see positivity in everything what we do. And I don't have any complaints because work, whatever I did, made me do things somehow what I'm doing right now. And it's been very satisfying, yes.
In fact, one of the things I like about Raj is his modesty. He talks like he's done nothing, but really, coming from a modest background, he ended up in Mumbai and in Bombay or Mumbai. He went to one of the top MBA schools with a business degree, worked for Unilever and among other companies. But he decided over a period of time got into the television and documentaries and I think related industries, advertising. But at some point left this chasing the money dream and got into where's meaning. And this is why I invited him here, because I'm always curious as to why people give up, or finally when people give up this, they're just like we have the American dream in America, we have the Indian dream in India, and it's becoming a consumerism. I mean, from what you're saying, Raj, it's the rat race of consumerism again, all over, and luxuries and all that. So, can you speak a little more to that? What were there specific incidents that changed your life, and were there any things that happened that made you realize that I need to really look for meaning?
I think migraine.
Oh, so it was migraine for you.
I used to work day and night. Like as you mentioned, advertisement field, I was working for Lintas and used to make ad films. And then I also got into television shows. So everything was supposed to be done yesterday. And trying to keep up with everything and also trying to accumulate as much as possible in the shortest time in the same race. Somewhere I suffered health-wise deeply. And I still kept working by taking painkillers. And at some point in time, I realized painkillers stopped working. And I happened to meet beautiful souls like you who connected me to nature. And while being in nature with native plants and, you know, the way we are supposed to live, 7 days, I felt awesome. I had no headache, and deep inside, I felt so calm. And I felt joy, not pleasure, you know. Though materialistic wealth, I was able to get pleasure, going to a spa, getting a massage, and some pleasure for some time. Here, I could experience joy. I still remember in a Kerala, in a farm. And then I started really thinking about life. I also did Vipassana, got deeper inside, and I realized all this is meaningless. What we are chasing is meaningless, as absolutely chasing pleasure, and which is like illusion. And so I became a little more aware about myself. All I can say is a little more aware about myself. And I was very fortunate to meet people like you at so many beautiful spaces who also were chasing earlier the dream, American dream, or whatever dream we call it, and could connect back to their real self. And it was maybe at some, you know, while shifting from the normal lifestyle to this lifestyle was very difficult because everybody resists. But when I met people like you, Manish Jain, and lots of other beautiful souls at LSUC, I realized I'm not alone. There's a tribe. And then I met Hasmukh Bhai, I connected with Apple Project. And I really felt there's a beautiful world coexisting, in, you know, parallelly. And yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence. And I took this jump and decided I'll do something meaningful, and whatever gives me inner joy. I try.
You know, it's interesting. This is the first time we are talking at length about this. But my journey started again in my late 30s, probably similar time as yours from a lifespan perspective. My journey also started with physical pain. It wasn't migraine. It was I had nasal congestion, but bigger than that, I had pain in my feet, what they call plantar fasciitis. Like,
Okay.
you know, guess what? Nothing worked. Painkillers didn't help at all. And Vipassana, I was very lucky, one of the leading neurologists at Stanford, at UCSF in the Bay Area, told me, your problem is not physical, you need a lot of rest. And S.N. Goenka was in town, who was the founder of the whole Vipassana movement, or the resurgence of the Vipassana movement. And he was offering for free, 10 days for free. And I was like a hardcore businessman at that time. So free, I said, okay, I'll take it. And that began the big shift. And I'm so grateful you're mentioning that, it wasn't luxuries, but it was the simplicity, it wasn't pleasure, it was the joy. So, you know, right now we're going through something like that with the coronavirus, COVID-19, and the crisis that a lot of people probably are facing, maybe for the first time in their life. How has it been for you? How has this period been for you? For me, it's like a long retreat, and I'm not trivializing the challenges. There are challenges everywhere. How is it like for you, Raj? And please speak up a little bit because I can't hear you as well.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I will keep it closer. Is it better?
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, it gave a lot of time to think. All I can say is a lot of time to introspect to a lot of people. I'm saying, you know, COVID has been, at some point in time, I was looking at the perspective is we have been told by various ways and means to stop what we've been doing, but people have never stopped. Ultimately, it's like a self-cleansing process of Mother Earth. And it was the beauty which I could see around. The rivers were getting cleaner, air getting cleaner. So I look at it, it's definitely difficult for a lot of people, but I say it's a very different break, and there's so much beauty as an output. And COVID-19 somehow at some point in time, I feel could be like a vaccine to our karma.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
Vaccine to our karma. So cleaning up our act.
People with the kind of life we all were living. Morning we leave our house. I was just trying to see, are we like, everything was damaging Mother Earth. Most of the things what we've all been doing. Either we are contaminating air, water, you know, food, everything we're just trying to contaminate in different ways. And somehow it got stopped. And we saw the beauty. We saw all the creatures coming, except human beings. I think all the creatures are happy, I see right now. I can see through the window. All the trees are happy, sky is clearer, air is better, and I can see birds enjoying. So except humans. So there has to be a correction. It's a call that bigger correction is required in life, in the way we operate our, you know, and there's a huge environmental impact which we have caused. We need to relook. We really need to relook. And I also am very happy people are thinking of growing their own food because kahan se khana aayega? So which is a positive step, and people will definitely rethink about their lifestyle and the kind of things they were doing earlier. Does it really make sense? All the paisa, all the materialistic wealth, they realize is of no use when this kind of thing happens. And to me, it's a very, it's something which is needed. It was needed. I think even no lockdown, we should have self-imposed compulsory lockdown every year, just as a cleansing process. And there are snow-capped mountains we see nowadays. I've not seen for a long time. I could see through some videos which have come, snow-capped mountains, river beautiful, which was so contaminated. The importance of growing food, as I mentioned, there's this need to do things for self-sufficiency, you know, and so much peace. I have met so many people with self, how like people are not happy with this, with self. And somehow we discover there are ways and means we can enjoy self-time. We can be lonely, yet we can enjoy our company, you know. So there's a saying, you can be alone, but may not be lonely. So those are the discoveries which I'm talking about my personal experience. This is what I've faced. And the pandemic is teaching us lessons in human behavior that could bring us closer. No, and wildlife population have been declined by 50% in last 50 years. Just imagine. So there's something wrong we have been doing. That's the reason this forced thing has happened to us. Deforestation happened. Extinction of native species have happened. So all these things we have to now look at seriously. And I hope people get it now before it's too late. That's how I look at the current situation. And I hope it brings a very positive impact, and there'll be a beautiful cleansing. Mother Earth, it's been long pending. And post that, yes, people will and should make some lifestyle changes, the way they think and the way they run their life.
I love the way you put it, a vaccine for our karma, so that we can cleanse our act going forward as well and be inoculated from making the mistakes we've done in the past. Focus on joy rather than on pleasure and luxuries. Once you realized that you were not going on a meaningful path, what kind of changes did you do over the past few years? And I mean, were there any specific things? Because I get this question from a lot of young people. And even people who have so far felt it as perfect. I was under the illusion everything was perfect as long as I could fulfill that what we call the Indian American dream, or I'm sure it's the Bombay dream too, the Bollywood dream of making it big. And by all external standards, Raj, most people would say you made it big. You know what I mean? You've got a family, you've got everything that people dream of. But what specific changes did you do
First,
that
first my,
people can
my
learn from?
living.
Sorry.
Minimalistic living. We don't
Uh,
need so many things. So I discovered so much of joy in living minimally. And the food is the basic thing. So I started producing food. We just got along with a
and
couple
how
of.
long have you been doing this? When did you start your first, and where did you start your food project
Yeah.
initially?
See, it was so difficult. Like I'm saying, if you, in today's time, to buy a farm is so difficult, which is the most needed thing. I realize people talk about climate change. The best way to correct is people should grow trees and they should have small scale farms. But there's so many governmental issues. I realize people are not allowing me buying farm because I'm not a farmer.
That's
I
true.
think people are shifting to something better. You should encourage. So these are a couple of hurdles I faced, but since my conviction was so, it was absolutely 100%. There was no doubt. There's no way I could think of living any other way, because I deeply believe the government is also trained to think in a way and they're trained to operate in a way because of certain, uh, they have their own agenda. Let's not talk about it. But I said, I have to think of myself and my family and people around me. So I felt the best thing is I need to grow food, because that's like kuch bhi ho jaye, COVID aa jaye, kuch bhi aa jaye. If you're growing your food, you can survive happily with people around. And while living there, trust me, the touch of soil, grounded with soil, the sky covering me in the night, we sleep under the open sky with the stars, and the food which is growing there, there's nothing more joy than that. I couldn't find any other joy. So while doing this parallelly, I decided to keep doing something which makes me feel happy and which has a larger purpose, which is like, it's just not doing work because I have to make money. It has to be more than making money. I don't say money is wrong. Money is good, but I'm giving my time and energy, and it has to be something more meaningful. So I just became very selective in what I do. So like as a project I mentioned, the kind of documentaries I did, currently we're working on a script, which is much more meaningful, how we can unite the modern world, the technology and the ancient wisdom to create a beautiful world. So those are
Wow.
the things we are working on currently. And
In
yeah, there are
fact,
certain, yeah.
in fact, I remember going to your farm. I think we went twice, and
Yeah.
each time it was a blessing. About, was it a year ago, 6 months ago, something like that? And about 90 minutes away from the city of Bombay with the local trains and all that. And it was a blessing. It reminded me of my childhood. With the cleanup that you see happening by nature, by Mother Nature herself, cleaning up everything. Do you see now documentaries being produced within India? Everybody, what I remember from my friends in the movie industry and television, that to leave the country to find a place to do shooting because everywhere there was pollution and traffic and all that. Do you conceive a future where we would go back to rural areas in India and do television and movies? Have you been doing that?
Yes, and that's the only way out. I think cities will finish. Cities at some point in time will not make much sense to people.
I
I
hope
honestly
so.
feel that. I really feel so. Because, and I feel communities building up. I see eco villages building up. Hasmukh Sapnawala. And similar
Yes.
spaces, I really wish and hope, because like I was just talking to my friends at the farm, in the forest and Hasmukh. They say lockdown, no lockdown. We are still chilling. We are enjoying, and we don't even know any difference. There's no difference in their lifestyle.
Is
So I
that
think,
true? So there's no governmental restrictions on
at
what
least
they're
in
doing
there,
on their farm?
in a couple of places where I've spoken to this, it's exactly the same way we are living right now. Obviously, if they need to come to Bombay, they won't be allowed, or if they need to travel. But people who are living there and they are producing their own stuff, and for them, it's just normal, healthy, beautiful life. And yeah, eco village, community living, and olden way, the way, smart village would be the answer. I think villages should be made smart. That's all, so that people don't have to leave and come to the city. So that's, I think that's one impact which the realization should happen, that we need to create all those things. Using technology is such a beautiful thing. We can use technology and we can use so many things so the villagers don't leave their respective villages and live beautifully there. This is, I hope, pray, and believe should happen.
You know, what you're saying is so illustrative of what I see happening in the San Francisco Bay Area and Silicon Valley. I think it started with similar frustrations. A lot of people who became successful early in their career in the electronics or in the software or social media industry have gone away from the city, even from San Francisco, into like villages or in towns like Napa Valley and other places, and set up farms, regrown trees, reforestation, and it's amazing to see this happening in many pockets in India, and I'm
Remember,
so
we
grateful.
met, we met a couple who had come from US on a trip to Gujarat.
That's right. That's right.
There's so many such beautiful people. They just, yeah, I think this is happening. The change is happening and it's bound to happen. Just it'll gain momentum right now after COVID. All I see.
Yeah, in fact, my wife and I also left the Silicon Valley, not because there was anything wrong with Silicon Valley, but there was a desire to go back a little more into nature and to meet what I would call real people going through real challenges. Silicon Valley has its own make-believe kind of lifestyle. Amazing people, I love it. And yet, there's that realization that we are more on computers and technology and away from nature, in the midst of nature. So going away from nature has been, going away from the cities has been a constant.
See, I only feel like just now you mentioned, technology has been using us, but we should use the technology. That's all. So we
That's
can use
true.
it beautifully in the, people have been using it beautifully, and it just, we have to stop using, let technology use us, let, industrialization use us. So if you use all those benefits, I think it's like the way we are talking right now. Was it possible? Can
Yeah,
we?
yeah. We need so many things for this. Everything from Zoom to Facebook to
And it's such a beautiful
the
thing.
electronics.
I really appreciate science. Just imagine some nice pearls of wisdom you shared with me, I shared with somebody else, and finally, by the time I share with somebody shares with the last person, it changes completely. But right now, I can go back to the video and see exactly what you said.
That's true. That's
There's
true.
no there's no chance of misinformation. It's like
Yeah, 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 yes, yes.
like
So
Gautam Buddha
you,
ने क्या बोला था? We don't know. There's no proof. We
that's
hear of
true.
we hear of Bhagavad Gita, so many interpretations, but we never heard Arjun saying it or Krishna saying it. Till the
That's
time
true.
we hear from the mouth, we don't know. Somebody has said it and somebody interpreted, and so we don't know. But today's time, if you say something, I can always catch hold of you. Shankarji, you said this.
That's true. That's true.
This is awesome. This is like marvelous.
Yes, yes. It is now possible to have person-to-person communication pretty much globally, at least those who are plugged into the internet, which is a significantly increasing number. People here, you and I are talking literally almost in front of each other, and you know how to get hold of me
Yeah.
because there's that URL or there's that link or the Instagram handle or the LinkedIn ID. So it is entirely possible to go back to the source. And in fact, I'll be sharing your contact information, Raj, so that people can get hold of you as well. Those people who feel that there's more to life than Bollywood may want to come back to you and talk to you about it.
Not,
And I've
not,
seen your home away from home in the village. It's amazing, totally amazing. I remember getting drenched in that unexpected rain when we went to sow some seeds, and there were some people who had come from the village, some people who had come all the way from the city to just sow some seeds and understand what will grow, what will not grow, and why. And it was amazing. So again, one of the things I'm noticing is a lot of people are feeling distressed given what we are going through. Of course, there's genuine concern about potential loss of life, disease, especially for the elderly or for little children. But there's also that fear of losing jobs and economic ruin. Do you have any suggestions on how? Because you and I went through these changes at a time when we were going through individual personal misery, personal pain, right? In your case, it was the migraine. In my case, it was the plantar fasciitis. So, and the rest of the environment around us hadn't changed. So once we made the shift, we had to do the explaining to others. But right now, we're talking about millions, if not billions of people affected simultaneously. Is there something people can do? Do you have any ideas or suggestions on how people can grow during this time rather than just hunker down and get scared, worried, anxious? Is there something that can happen that can actually propel them in a very meaningful way?
I think the spirituality is the answer. Just once they are deeply connected with themselves, they'll realize they don't need so much.
And how would somebody go about that deeper connection you're talking about? What would be a suggestion from you as to how can people connect deeply with themselves?
Like, we know how we tried various meditation methods, sitting in silence, understanding. The one which I discovered is Vipassana. Through Vipassana, just being with self. Self-time teaches us everything. We just need to layer off the belief systems. So every belief system which is causing my way of working was every belief system which was making me worried. Like in today's situation, any situation, it's wrong. So I just in silence go and work on my belief system. First of all, this belief system comes as I see people nearby. काम कैसे चलेगा? आगे क्या होगा? ये हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? Nobody knows the future. आगे क्या होगा? I'm breathing right now. That's a gratitude.
That's true, especially now.
Gratitude, I'm breathing right now. Pure air. The sun is still shining. I'm still alive. My hands are working. I can talk to you. Let's experience gratitude. Then how much do I really need? Do I really need those things which I have planned? So just relook, just rethinking, going deep inside gives an answer. I tell you, if you go within, you go deep inside, be in silence, and just layer off things which have been imposed on us, we have acquired from people through societies. If you just remove those layers, we will get answers. See, everything we will get back. कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. Economy will again come back. Nature will come back. It's a way of telling us reorganize our thinking. That's all. We just need to reorganize our thinking. This is what I can foresee, and I just hope people get help to make them think correctly. That's all. It could be going deeper. It could be counseling. It could various people work various ways. And we also seen all the temples collapsed. Earlier, temple or go to any place of worship. This is the answer. Now we see nothing helps. Nothing else. People can't even go out. So what will help is correcting our belief system, correcting our thinking process, and then really understanding why are we here, or what we are doing, is it right? And the answers will come. Kuch nahi chahiye. Shankar ji, I'll just tell you one simple example. You've seen the life in city. I calculated my cost, monthly cost in the city. It was a huge, the flaunting cost, the maintenance cost, the petrol cost, the hospital cost, the food products cost. Once I shift there, everything is free. Almost everything is free. The food is free if you are growing. And if you are able to live with minimalistic life, you have no health problems. So I'm saying with bare minimum, people can survive healthily. And people who have made those shifts you can see them, they are doing so well. And it just in a community, a friend of mine was talking about community in Russia. They're living together. It's like beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. You know, what you're saying rings true so much for me. Right now, I'm in Mexico. And right now, I'm close to the city, the capital, Ciudad de Mexico, or Mexico City. And of course, the cost of living here must be quite high. Somebody has given me this place, so I don't feel the cost as much. But I know to maintain this manicured gardens and, almost a almost a forest that's maintained. There are like 2 gardeners full time for that. It adds up. But before this, I was in a smaller place, Ciudad de Chihuahua, which is the capital of a state called Chihuahua, which is in the middle of desert land, just like Rajasthan, where you and I first met. We met in Sardar Shahar, close to the largest desert land in Asia, Thar Desert, and there was practically nothing there. And in that nothingness, we could experience joy. And here in Chihuahua, which is the capital of the desert land, so it is a mid-sized city, but we went out, we went to the canyons, and just the beauty of nature. This is before the lockdown or before the quarantine season came about 2 months ago. And the simplicity of the people, amazing, totally amazing. They entertained me with Mexican jokes and Spanish jokes, and I learned it very fast. They changed my name from Shankar to Shankla, which has a different meaning. And it was so much fun. These are people I had met at a yoga place in Pune. And whatever they had, they shared. And you're 100% right. We had this notion that we have to have all the luxuries, manicured gardens and amazing, plazas. And if we have it, no harm. But to maintain it, if we have to give up our life, it doesn't make sense. And,
also understanding these things are only giving pleasure, comfort, luxury, not joy.
That's true. That is exactly what I experienced. I mean, honestly, I love Cuernavaca where I am, which is an amazing place, but I also love Chihuahua and the simplicity of it. And I think therein lies a lesson. So really if we have to chase something, chase joy, which is inside the simplicity of it. And I'm so grateful you're mentioning that. And I remember promising you that we'll go to my native land in Karnataka, where the cost of living is you get great idlis, dosas, and full thali for less than 40, 50 rupees. Okay, in a small town called Kundapura. It's interesting when I put pictures of that place. People ask me, "Am I in Switzerland or am I in the Bahamas?" And I go, "No, this is Hattangadi. This is Kundapura." And Indians ask these questions. I'm not even expecting others to know the place. But people from India saying, "This looks like this is Singapore." I'm like, no, this is a small village here. This is a small village in Maharashtra. This is, what's the village that you go to?
Vare and Rajasthan. And in Rajasthan, there is a small village close to Abu Road, Mount Abu.
Yes, I haven't seen that yet. Here's the beauty of it. In fact, rural India, just like rural America, rural Mexico, have so much to offer. And no amount of money can bring that. We cannot put artificial plants, artificial lighting.
Can I add something? I'll just give a small example I could recollect. Like I couldn't sleep. My mom couldn't sleep without sleeping tablets. And I had issues. I went to my mom's sister's farm. We call it Mausi, in a small village of Rajasthan. And we just sat there under the tree and she plucked a lot of vegetables. We call it panch mele ki sabzi, the traditional Rajasthani food. She just plucked and cooked in front of us, open fire. And there's chakki, So she got a lot of bajra and made atta out of it and made bajra ki roti. It's basically a millet chapati. And we ate that, and post that some sweet dish came, which is like a watermelon. She picked from there, which was growing, and trust me, no amount. I just had a realization, not only me, all of us. And we could recollect the 5-star food and all those places. Nothing could beat that. And then we slept on a small little khatia under the tree, drinking that well water. A little later, she made that butter and gave us buttermilk. Under the tree, having that food, my mom slept like she never slept before. She cannot sleep without sleeping pills. She just slept.
Wow.
The Mother Earth is so powerful and it's free. Most of the best things are free. We don't realize the value. I just hope people realize the value and everything is free. See, except human beings, nobody needs money to survive. They get their food.
That's true.
Everything except human beings. Nobody needs money. We have the best things which is available free. We don't value it. That's all. If we start valuing them, we'll consciously not damage them. Nobody needs to be told that you have to cut trees because we don't value, It's like if I know this tree is giving me life, I'm inhaling because of them, and whatever I'm exhaling is absorbing. If I really know that and believe that and feel that, and I feel Mother Earth, like I still feel, I'm just, at the farm when I go, I touch earth. When I walk bare feet, I feel I'm getting healthier. I'm getting, like you right in the beginning to say, how do I get centered? No amount of, I don't require any knowledge. I don't require any scripture. Under the sun, during sunrise, I just bare feet, I walk, I get centered. No amount of stress, nothing else. Nothing is there at that point in time. It just centers me. So I'm saying everything is free, but we just need to value and experience it. My telling, you telling won't make any difference. They need to just experience it. Like the way I said, I experienced for 7 days and I realized nobody can teach me better truth than this. And
wow, that's so precious what you're saying, because a lot of us, whether it's in India or in the United States or anywhere, we're chasing gurus and babas. And it's funny, my friends in Mexico were asking, we need your teachings. I said, no, you just need silence. You just need silence. Go to a lake, just go out, be with nature for some time, listen to the birds. And they think, oh yeah, such I hear that, oh, such pearls of wisdom. No, this is common sense. Try out common sense for a change. But you're right. I mean, I have done that. I've had my fair share of chasing books and videos and teachers. In India, we call them gurus. It's not like it's a wrong thing, but the best among them reminded me to go back to my own heart, to use my own common sense, and to come back to nature. And I'm so grateful they did that again and again and again. I don't know how many, but every single time. And when you and I talk, Raj, it's the same thing. We often talk about the simplicity of living in the village. So the question is, as you know, Bombay is such a huge city. It's probably one of the biggest cities in the world now, with a population that exceeds, what is it, like 2 crores, which is what, 20 million, more than 20 million, the Bombay, or the Mumbai metropolitan area. What prevents us, or what brings us to the city? In your case also, you moved from a smaller city to Mumbai.
Yeah.
And then what keeps us entrapped in those situations? Is there some way, especially with the migrant situation in India, people going out of the city, is there some hope that people will not come back and get entrapped again in the so-called luxuries of the city? Is there any hope of that happening?
Definitely. Now I see people have, like I hear videos of people who are going back to their village, making a vow they will never come back. And yeah, there is a realization. I think that the impact is bigger. Like when we go for a funeral, we see somebody dying. For one day we think, we couldn't take anything, it's useless, why we chase? Third day we are back. We are back
That's my concern. That's my worry. What if after the pandemic, people say, no, we're going back to Bombay again? Is that?
Yeah, that's my worry. But I'm a little hopeful because the impact has been so huge.
That's true.
The impact has been so huge. I just pray and hope. I just pray and hope people understand their own truth and realize the way they are living. You've seen the slums, how they live. You have experienced the slums. They have land there. I know personally a lot of people, they still are living in the slums. Just as you said, what keeps them here? I've spoken to them one-to-one. They say, hope. One day I will be this. There are possibilities. So and so lived like this and became this. So this hope keeps them here. And they waste their whole life. And I don't know, there's so many people have various reasons. They don't want to go back because unless they make it there or close to that place, they will be not looked at or looked upon or whatever. I don't know. They have various beliefs that if I have this much, then people will respect me. So all those, I'm saying the basic lies in thinking correctly. They are operating from belief system which have been imposed on them. They've been taught and they've acquired. That needs correction. Unless that happens, they'll come back.
That's right. And we are as much a part of this whole nonsensical paradigm of money, name, and fame. And it takes a lot. If I were to ask you, Raj, a personal question, how much of your time have you been spending in the villages lately? I know it started at zero
Yeah,
a decade ago.
I started at zero. Still, I'm making a transition because I have responsibilities here. But what I do is I go to and fro, stay there as and when I can. I'm also attached with a community project, which is, as you know, with EBL, Environment-Based Holistic Learning Education. And I make sure that in 2 years' time, I think I can shift permanently. I'm just trying to grow my food there first, so that when I'm there, there's self-sufficiency.
So have you already started working on that EBL community project?
We planted all the local native. EBL you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, EBL, we are acquiring land right now. And because of this COVID, it halted. But right after that, we'll get back. And yes, it's a very positive thing. And we have acquired a huge chunk of land. And we plan to, since COVID happened, otherwise we would have moved by now. This was the plan. And now it'll take a year more. Yeah. But it's a beautiful thing when community people from city who have realized what you and I realize are trying to live together and live in harmony with nature and create a lot of abundance for others to come and experience that. So the intention is beautiful. And
this is in the mountains and plateaus of Maharashtra, in a very rural area with limited connectivity with the rest of the world, but a fully sustainable community, right?
Yeah. So there are other places also I'm very happy who are working on it. You know, like I don't know if you know, you may not know. Yeah, there are other people who are working on similar communities close by. So I'm very happy these are getting replicated, and this is the answer, I guess. Yeah.
And if anybody is interested in finding out about these fully sustainable, eco-friendly, or in fact, in nature sustainable communities that are growing, people who have left the cities, people who are from the villages working together as a community, and without where money is not the main criterion. The criterion is how we can support each other and work together. Could they contact you directly? I mean, I'm going to give some contact information for you.
Give my email ID for sure. You can
great.
I can whatever information I have.
Sure. Because
one more Shankarji, one more small thing which we noticed when you came to EBL village. I realized what we need to do is just inspire one person somehow in the village. If he changes, the whole village can change. I think that's one beautiful. I was really looking forward to your session, and we can have some session in the village. And I believe if one person is convinced, and it has happened at a couple of places in small villages of Maharashtra, Rajasthan, one person got convinced. He just did water harvesting. When water was there, the plants started growing. When plants started growing, food was in abundance, and then ecotourism developed. So there are a couple of people. I think you can do his interview also. He's a beautiful friend of mine.
I would love to talk to him. Yeah.
I'll send you his details. He has made his small village just by doing this a model village. So I'm saying existing villages. Just one person is required. One person is required who starts living consciously, thinks consciously. He can bring about the change in the existing village. No need to shift. This is what we are city people going there. But villagers, they have everything there. They have to just,
And I guess you're specifically referring to the fact that rainwater is not predictable. When you get it pours, when it rains, it pours, especially during the monsoons. And at other times when they need it, it's not there. So simply water harvesting has made a huge difference to this village. And it's become like a model village. And all you're saying is one visionary, one person who will take it up can change an entire village. And we need a lot of these villages so that people can move back to nature from the hustle and bustle of the cities and then get, in fact, losing their entire life in a city, especially the metropolitan cities, which have become megapolitan cities now. And there's not much hope of bringing nature or retrofitting nature back. So I think what you're saying is making a lot of sense to me. And for those of you who are around, yes, you can contact me or Raj, and there's a lot of websites that are coming up, many initiatives, and it's really a cooperation. We learn a lot when we go to these villages. The villagers know much more than we do about what the quality of the soil, the patterns of seasons and everything. They can even predict, oh, I think this year is going to be a tough one and water could be an issue. So then the next step is, yes, there are methods they can use to harvest that rainwater, or there are other things they can do. So we can all learn symbiotically from each other. So thank you for bringing that up. I mean, it's such an amazing thing. Do you have any last words of wisdom for people watching and who want to make any changes wherever they are right now? What you said is go inwards, see the simplicity, find the joy rather than look for the luxuries and the pleasures outside. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Raj?
I just would like to, I'll just pray, hope they think for themselves. They've become very selfish. They're not selfish.
It's a new paradigm of selfishness, self-centeredness.
If they become selfish, they'll work for their well-being. That's all. Right now, we all are not working for our well-being. We are working for wealth creation or whatever. But if we have become selfish and work for our well-being, we'll get the answers.
Wow, wow. I mean, you know, in the language of neuroscience, they call it having self-compassion, or even in spiritual. But what you're saying is, right now, the focus is not even on the well-being of the person, of the self. It's on wealth creation and doing things that are glamorous, doing things that seem to be the right thing from some outside perspective, and not knowing what does this person need, what does Raj need, what does Shankar need. Instead, what will be the cool thing to do in Bombay or in New York for that matter. So I'm so glad you're asking people to go inwards and say, what does this person need? Be a little selfish. I think that with that message, I would like to stop here. Again, we will continue to bring more people. If you have a lot of questions for Raj, then we could call Raj back on the show. And this is just sharing informally from lessons learned in life. And we would love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions, if you have any, you know, even criticism, we would love to hear that too.